So this was one of the questions on your quiz you had yesterday. What happened to him while he was in Carthage with his beautiful queen?
I loved it.
He fell in love. Was it by his own choice? Was it like love at first sight and it was like all his choice? He's going to marry this queen? No. Who made him fall in love? What's the deity that makes us fall in love?
Cupid.
Cupid. And who told Cupid to make Aeneas fall in love? This goddess is vengeful. She's always after Aeneas ever since the Trojan War.
Yeah.
Juno. So Juno really hates Aeneas, and Juno goes to Carthage, also her sacred city, Carthage. So he's finally at her sacred city, and she really hates him. She doesn't want him to have this amazing destiny where he gets to found the great Roman Empire in Italy. She's like, no, he has to stay in Carthage. He doesn't get to have this amazing destiny. So he convinces Aeneas' mother, who is her Roman name? Venus. So Venus and Juno are convinced that, you know what, Aeneas should stay here and be in love with this beautiful queen. And so they marry. Well, they marry. And they're out hunting and a storm comes. They get trapped together in a cave. And who comes to Aeneas while they're in the cave to give him a message? It's someone who delivers messages. Mercury. So Mercury comes. He's been sent by Jupiter. And what does Mercury tell Aeneas? Can he stay in Carthage with this beautiful queen that he's married? And I put quotations around it because you'll see why. So they married. Can he stay there with her? No, why can't he stay in Carthage? I mean, it's a great place. There's a beautiful queen. He's finally saved from danger. Why can't he stay there? What does he have to do?
Go found the city.
He has to go found Rome. He has to go to Italy. So Mercury comes and says, you can't stay here, Aeneas. Your duty is in Italy, not in Carthage. And so he has to choose between his love for Dido and his duty to the Romans. What does he choose? The Romans. He chooses his duty over his love. And so he leaves Carthage. And what happens in Carthage as he's leaving? So she gets all of his stuff they left behind, including a sword, and she kills herself with the sword. And then she not only kills herself with the sword, but also what does she do to herself? Sets herself on fire. So she set his stuff on fire, kills herself with his sword, and she's also on fire. So she's burning as he's leaving on his ship, and Aeneas even looks back to Carthage and sees a fire, but he has no idea why that fire is burning. And Dido curses him because he left her. So she chose emotion, her passion, her love over her duty to Carthage, while he's the one who chose duty to his destiny over his love to her. What's his next stop in book 5? So he leaves Carthage. Who did he leave? So he left Troy with what, 2 people? Two family members he left Troy with initially. Who was he carrying on his back and then holding the hand up? His son and his father. When he leaves Carthage, are both of them with him? Who is not with them? His father. So he's going to stop on north of Sicily, and he's going to hold some 8 days of sacrifices. sacrificing animals to his father, and then a day of games that they all get to play. What were those games that they all played? Games they played in honor of Aeneas' dad. There were 5 games that they did. Virtual students, do you guys know which games they played in the Iliad? In book 5, in honor of Aeneas' dad? Anybody? What games did they play? All the men are participating in this game, in these games. They're more like events than games, but what events?
With their race with Sid.
What race?
With Sid.
Sorry, you gotta speak up.
What boat?
Yeah, a rowing. So the first one is a rowing contest. What's their next race? It was a boat race. So they had a boat race, then they have a foot race, and then they were going to have a match with what? Yep. So David, yes, one was rowing. The third match was boxing. Did they box though? Did anyone get to that part? So they were going to box, but Aeneas stopped the fight, and because one of the men he knew was really strong, and that man, to show off his strength, grabbed a bull and smashed it. So it's probably lucky that they didn't do boxing because of that guy's strength. They next did archery. One man showed off his archery skills by lighting his arrows on fire after he released them. And then next was horseback riding. So that's what the men were doing. What were the women doing? So the men were playing games, but the women were doing something else.
They're like in mourning.
Yeah, they were in mourning. So they were all grieving for Aeneas' father. But then who comes? Who in store interrupts their grieving?
Iris.
Iris. So someone incited Iris to come and interrupt them. Juno. So Juno know that she's always going to do something to the Trojans. Always something. And so she incites Iris to, what does Iris do to these women? Iris comes and then she disguises herself as a Trojan woman and she makes the Trojan women do something.
He tells them to burn the ships.
Yeah, so they're all grieving, so they're in a lot of pain, and she tells them, we shouldn't go on anymore. I mean, we've been through so much, we might as well stop now. And so she tells them to burn the ships, and that's what they do. They burn most of the ships. And it isn't until Aeneas and his men realize that the ships are burning, and they go and try to save them. Aeneas pleads to Jupiter, and Jupiter sends down a rainstorm and will put out the fires. And Eostar realizes, they've been through so much, they can't all go on. So a friend gives him some advice that maybe he should leave some of the people there. There are friends around them, so they're not in any danger. And then the rest of the men can go on and continue the journey. Aeneas sleeps on it. His dead dad, comes to him in a dream. And his dad says, yes, leave some of the people here and then continue on. Also, you have to go to the underworld because I need to speak to you. So this is like, okay. He leaves the old and most of the women and the sick there in Sicily. And then he moves on. And that's where we are at the end of book 5. So be sure to keep reading. I know this book is a little difficult with all the flowery language. If you are having trouble, the website Poetry in Translation might be helpful. They have another translation that you can look at. I will be posting that link on Google Classroom. But this is a really important book because it sort of symbolizes a lot of Roman history, and we'll talk about significance in the Augustan era. But for now, we're going to go on to the Punic Wars. So, Rome has been founded. It started out as a small little city on the Tiber River. Now, it's grown to encompass all of Italy. So they're getting a lot bigger now and expanding their realm of influence. But here in the pink are the Phoenicians. So Phoenicians. And I advise you guys to take notes, but I will be posting a recording of this video online because this information will be on quizzes and tests. So the Phoenicians this is their main territory over here. They are they're traders and merchants. They're not really a military force. So all of the territory that they hold over here are mainly trading cities. So their main source of income, trading. They have a bunch of silver mines here in Hispania, but mostly trade. So they're not a war-like people. But they do hold the island of Sicily. Now, Rome and Carthage were great friends. Which character in the Aeneid is from Carthage? We met somebody from Carthage in book 4, or I guess met her in book 1, but and left her in book 4. Who do we know is from Carthage in the Aeneid? Dido. So, how would you describe Aeneas and Dido's relationship in the beginning? What was their relationship like when they first met?
I mean, they didn't really know each other.
They really know. And once they got to know each other, what was their relationship like? So were they enemies? Dido and Aeneas? So they were friends, right? So they had a really good relationship. So did Rome and Carthage. They were friends in the beginning. Carthage had a lot more influence, as you can see on this map, than Rome did. Rome only held the Italian peninsula. But Rome was getting a little bit greedy and ambitious around this time. And they decided they wanted to move into the island Sicily. But Carthage didn't want that. There were several treaties that Carthage and Rome signed together, trying to maintain their friendly relationship, but that did not last because a city here in Sicily decided that they preferred Rome over Carthage. So now someone was choosing favorites, and this city decided they liked Rome better, and so they kicked out the Phoenicians, so they kicked out Carthage, and invited the Romans in. The Romans came gladly with their legions. So Rome takes this small tip of Sicily. How happy do you think Carthage was to lose that city? If you just got kicked out of a city that you really liked, you would probably be upset too. And so Carthage tried to take back the city from Rome, but was unsuccessful. And that is when the First Punic War started. So, has Rome ever battled, do you think, in the water? Look at the territory that they hold before Sicily. Did they have to battle at any time in water? Verbal answers, guys. Yes or no? Did they have to battle at all in the water? What were they used to fighting on?
Land.
Land. So they're used to, having their feet on the ground and moving. But now they have to go out to sea. And so through several skirmishes, they're able to take a couple of ships from the Phoenicians and copy their design. And Rome, known for its adaptability in most times, decided to copy their ships, and they made 120 ships in 60 days. In only 60 days, they made 120 ships. And these ships were massive, completely massive. Hundreds of people were on these ships. And they made a few modifications. They made this thing where it was a plank or sort of a bridge where they would rotate it so they could board enemy vessels. And then their soldiers can go enter those vessels. And then they were fighting on the ships, which is better from more advantage because it's like fighting on land because they were not used to fighting in the sea. Their men that were on these ships who rowed were trained on land. So they weren't even trained in the water. They were trained on land. The Romans don't really know how to fight in the water, but they're going to try their hardest. And because they tried their hardest, they were successful. That's how Romans were able to quickly adapt. And they won all of their first naval battles in Sicily. So slowly, over time, Sicily slowly becomes Roman. Because the Romans are having a really great time in this war. The Phoenicians are not. These battles are taking a toll on them. They're losing a lot of territory and money that comes with that territory. Commanders who lose for the Phoenician army are crucified. So not a lot of morale there. So you have to think, if you're a commander for Carthage, well, if I don't do good, I'm going to be crucified. So I guess I better try my hardest. And they were losing. And finally, Rome decided, you know what? We're going to take this battle straight to Carthage. So they went directly to Africa. Now, when they went to Africa, the Senate decided, the Roman Senate, so the government, decided, well, we're doing so well in this war. We don't really need all of our troops in Africa. You can have half of the troops we gave you in Africa. And Rome still won against 3 commanders. 3 commanders were defending Carthage, and they lost against half of the troops that Rome sent. That's how bad Carthage was at this war. And Carthage is spending lots and lots of money and men on this war. They try to stall for time while Rome takes over Carthage, and they hire mercenaries. So not even their own people are fighting in this war. They're paying people to fight this war for them. And it does work. They managed to beat back Rome from Carthage and take it back. And then Rome was like, fine, you won't go to Africa, because not only were we kicked out of Carthage, when we were trying to flee, a storm hit us and wiped out our fleet. We'll just stay in Sicily and continue to take the whole island instead of going directly to the heart of the problem, Africa. Carthage attempts to take back Sicily. They are unsuccessful. Again, they're paying people to fight for them. So who knows how loyal those mercenaries really are to Carthage. And Rome does suffer some defeat, but they start to suffer some defeats. Both sides are spending way too much money, losing way too many men, and way too many ships at this point. And do you think they're going to give up? Does Carthage and Rome ever give up? No, especially not the Romans. The Romans have to win. So instead, the rich citizens of Rome are like, hey, we're going to fund this war. So they give the government 200 more ships and a bunch of more men and a bunch of more money. And Rome is finally able to keep Sicily and keep out Carthage for good. And they end the war in, 242. So Carthage has now lost. So, War 1, Carthage lost. They lost Sicily. They lost Sardinia and Corsica. And they have to pay money to Rome now. They spent what? This is a 23-year war. 23 years they spent on this war. They lost 3 islands, and they have to continue to pay the victor. And who was fighting for Carthage during this war? Who would I say they had fighting for them? Mercenaries. And mercenaries want to get what when they're done fighting? Money. Does Carthage have any money at the end of this 23-year war? No. Carthage is out of money, and so they can't pay mercenaries. What do you think the mercenaries are going to do now that they're not getting paid?
Be angry.
They're going to be very angry. And so they're going to rise up and they're going to revolt against Carthage, which means Carthage has to spend a lot more money trying to put that revolt down. So money is just bleeding from Carthage at this point because of this war. Because they have to pay Rome for winning. They have to pay mercenaries are now revolting, so you have to pay the mercenaries and pay people to put down the revolt. So everything's just going wrong for Carthage at this point. But Carthage is not going to give up. After they lost Sicily, they're like, okay, we lost Sicily, we don't need Sicily. We're just going to move on to Spain. So they start conquering Spain until they own half of that peninsula. And this is when we get a very famous person named Hannibal. Who is Hannibal? Have you guys ever heard the name Hannibal? Maybe in the same sentence of the word elephants or the Alps?
He rode elephants over here.
Yes, so Carthage had war elephants that they used, not very useful in naval battles against Rome in the first war, but now that they're on land and in Spain, they could finally use their war elephants. And Hannibal promised his father that he would never be a friend to Rome. So what he did was, after he conquered most of Spain, he went on to conquer this part, slowly inching his way towards Italy. Now, he was never supposed to go past this river, but he's no friend of Rome, so he does not care. So he's always testing the boundaries of Rome. And his plan was he was going to travel through the Alps and down into Italy with his elephants. So he got, 102,000 men to go with him on this expedition. How many men do you think survived their travels to the Alps? Now remember, this is back in ancient Rome, so there's no roads. There's no plows, so they can't plow the mountain with rid of snow. And unpaved. Lots of disease out there. It's cold. There's no heaters. How many men do you think survived out of 102,000? Any numbers, guys? Any numbers? How many people do you think survived this treacherous expedition through the Alps? You think they all survived? They all made it safely? Yeah? No, let me tell you, it's really hard to get 100,000 guys and elephants through the mountains. How many people do you think survived? Okay, 90,000. You think 85,000. 70,000. Wait, no, 80,000. Anybody? 80,000 people? 75,000. 70,000? 60,000? Yeah, you think about 60,000? Well, 55,000. See, see, 50? Think about 50,000 survived. What about 45? 45? 40? Let's see, 35? 30? 26. Only 26,000 guys actually made it over the Alps with him. Out of 102,000 people, only 26. That's a lot of people to lose. Especially when you're going into enemy territory. I mean, he's sort of all alone. Carthage is all the way down here. And he's trying to make it into enemy territory. He only has 26,000 people with him who survived. But that's what happens. He went into Rome with that many people, and he was very successful. He didn't go straight for Rome. He decided that he was going to go for everything that wasn't Rome. So everything close to Rome, he was going to avoid. He was trying to do everything away from Rome. Why do you think he was trying to target people away from Rome? What was his plan? What was his plan? Why not go straight for the enemy? I mean, he wanted to defeat Rome, right?
Is it because like Rome was kind of like the heart of everything, so there were more soldiers there?
Yeah. So you would expect that there'd be more soldiers and more defenses in Rome. What's he need now that he is down to 26,000 people? What do you need when if he came expecting to have that many people, but now he only has 26,000? What do you think he needs? He needs more people. And let me tell you, the Romans were not very likable, even on the Italian peninsula. So these people who lived outside of Rome, the city, actually did not really like the Romans because Romans are sort of elitist. They're very full of themselves. They think Rome is everything. Rome is the center of the world, and only Romans are actually citizens in their little kingdom. It's not an empire yet. So all these people who have been conquered on the Italian peninsula actually are not citizens. So, and they're always being put down by the Romans. So now Hannibal has a population where he can gather some men. So he gathers men from France or Gaul. He gathers men from the Italian peninsula because a lot of those people hate the Romans. And now he has a great army. And he's still not going to hit Rome. He wants to destroy everything around Rome because he wants to show that Carthage is superior. They don't even have to hit Rome, the city. They can take everything else. That's how superior they are. And Rome is like, okay, what do we do now? We have someone invading our territory, and so we have to deal with Carthage. So what they're going to do is they're going to not attack Hannibal. They're going to take the same route. They are going to instead attack his supplies. So whenever you're in the military, a great tactic, hit the enemy supply lines. Why? Why do you want to hit their supplies instead of them themselves?
Because then you won't have to deal with the people trying to kill you, and you can just kill them by making sure they don't have what they need to survive.
Yeah, so they don't have food, they don't have weapons, they don't have what they need to survive, and so you're backing them into a corner. And that's what the Romans did. So they hit his supply line, so like ports, and then they decided, it's not just enough to hit Hannibal because he's in their territory. they also have to hit back at Carthage. So they go and they start moving against Spain. Because what does Carthage have in Spain? I mentioned that there's something that they really like that they have here. Very valuable. Silver mines. So now, once again, the Romans are going to start bleeding the Carthaginians of their money. Oh, yeah. Where is that one? So this starts to become Roman occupied territory. Because once again, the Carthaginians are not military strategists, they're more into trading. So they don't have Rome's superior armies and military. So now Hannibal is without supplies. Carthage is losing their silver mines that they pride so much. And they also, this man named Scipio, who was a great commander of Rome, decides to make his way after he conquered most of Spain to take the fight back to Carthage. Now, Rome, has they ever had good fortune whenever they went and fought in Carthage? No, I always have bad luck whenever they go to Carthage. But Scipio is going to try this once again. And this time he is successful. Hannibal, realizing that they're going back to Carthage, flees back to save his city. And Scipio and Hannibal face off. In an amazing battle where war elephants that Hannibal used were used against him, the Roman army. So they had army, and so they made channels for charging war elephants. So an elephant would be coming, and then they would break and let it go through. And then there would be Hannibal's men back here behind them, and the war elephants would end up charging into them instead. So their elephants weren't that good in battle anymore. Rome also had unlimited ships, money, and men. They weren't like Carthage having to pay for mercenaries. So Rome takes Spain. Carthage is no longer there. And they sort of take Carthage and they crush Carthage completely. So they take all of their territory in North Africa. So all they're left really is with this tiny city up here. And that is the second Punic War. So Carthage loses again. And this was a 16-year war. So first they fought for 23 years. They fought for another 16 years. So Carthage is really broke at this point. They have nothing left. If they had nothing left in the first war, they have nothing left, even more in this second war. But they're not done. They keep coming back because they hate that they keep losing. And so they're a really sore winner. And so when this neighboring country, Numidia, keeps taking their territory until all they're left with is this tiny little city on the coast, they decide, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to take back all of our territory from the Romans. And so they decide to declare war a third time. Because they have not learned their lesson. And they're still paying Rome. So they had to pay Rome in the first war. They had to pay Rome in the second war. So they're continuously paying Rome after they lose. And so they're just, okay, We're going to win this time. Third time's a charm. Is it for Carthage? Did Carthage win finally in the third war? Will they finally be able to be the victors and regain everything that they lost, or at least some stuff that they lost? What happened to Carthage, guys? What happened to the famous city of Carthage in just, 3 years? The shortest war. Only in 3 small years, they lost absolutely everything. Not only did they lose all their territory, they lost their own city. And it was wiped off of Africa. So Carthage decided to go against Rome. Rome was like, there's a famous quote saying, Carthage must be destroyed. The Romans were waiting for this. They were so happy when Carthage decided to come back for a third time and try to win, because they've been waiting to wipe Carthage off the map. And so they were super happy when Carthage came and declared war. And Rome, there was really no fight. Rome came, they besieged the city for 3 years. And then in one final attack, they just killed everybody or they enslaved everybody in the city. So you were either killed or enslaved if you were in Carthage. Those were your only options. And so there's a myth that they salted the earth of Carthage. That is just a myth. That did not happen. But they did place a curse on Carthage that said anybody who wants to live there or around that area, you will be cursed. So everyone sort of left that area alone until Julius Caesar came around. But Carthage was completely destroyed by the Romans. And now the Romans can be the only superpower in the Mediterranean Sea because Carthage is now gone. And the Romans get all of this territory that was once Carthage. So thinking back to the Aeneid, this sort of represents the relationship that Dido had with Aeneas. So in the beginning, how is their relationship? Dido and Aeneas. Well, they were friends. Just like Rome and Carthage were friends. But then, what happened to their relationship?
He chose his destiny over her.
Yeah, he chose his destiny. So he chose Rome over his love. And what happened to their relationship? He died. I mean, yeah, she died and sort of broke apart into fiery flames. So sort of represents what happened to Carthage and Rome in the Punic Wars. They were friends at first, but that relationship quickly went downhill until Carthage died. So Dido is a symbolism of Carthage in Roman history in this book that we're reading. So it's important to know that how Rome sort of became a superpower in this area. I mean, you still have Egypt over here, but they're not as powerful as the Roman Empire or what it's going to be. So that's how we get a lot of this territory over here. So now they're controlling Rome, these three islands. Sicily is their first province, official province ever. They get most of Spain and also down here in North Africa. And that was originally Egypt after the Phoenicians, and then slowly Rome gets that part back. So any questions about what happened between Rome and Carthage. Y'all understand like what happened and why they were upset at each other?
How far away were the wars apart? Like,
Like, oh, so let's see. This ended in 242. This started in, let's see, 218. So that's 30 years between the first and second. And then the second one ended in, let's see, how would I say? So there's about 30 years in between each of them, about probably less, maybe for that's probably actually 20 years. So there is quite a bit of time in between, but those wars were still like very fresh in their minds, especially with all the money that Carthage had to be paying Rome, because they're paying Rome just because they lost, and also paying the mercenaries and for men to suppress the mercenaries. Any other questions about what happened? So we get the word Punic from the Latin word for Phoenician. So if you're wondering why they, because cities called Carthage, the people are called Phoenician, but the war is called Punic. It's because it's after the Latin word. What? Punicus. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to introduce you to a game. The virtual students know about this game. It's called Pictionary. It's a great review for vocabulary. So what will happen is you guys will be split into two teams. Let's see, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the even number of that. So 4 people per team, and I'll put the virtual students on one team. So however you guys want to split yourselves up. It could be boys against girls. It could be however you like. That is for among yourselves to split you guys up. So get into teams, please, somehow. You can move your team members. Let's see. Okay, so how this game works is that first of all, you're going to have one person who comes up from your team. And I'm going to show them a vocabulary word, and they have to draw it on the board. They cannot speak, but they can act or draw it. And then your team has to guess the Latin word. So I'm looking for the Latin word, not the English word, guys. Okay? And then whoever gets it will get a point. Let's see. Team names.
give me a color. Blue.
Give me an animal. Give me an animal.
Fox. The blue foxes.
The what?
The blue foxes.
The blue foxes? Next team. Name.
Platinum.
The what?
Platinum.
Platinum. Did I spell it right? Is that right? Okay. Well, I spelled terribly. Sorry, guys. Okay. So I need. Oh, okay. Now you guys have to decide who's going to get the extra 2 members, the virtual students. Do you guys want them? Do you want? Okay. The boys. You think the boys should have them?
David.
Okay. Well, I recommend. How about we do this? How about the girls gather right here and the boys gather in that corner? So virtual students, you guys are on the boys team. They are called the Platinum. We're going to try to do this again. See how it goes. So, I'm using it anyways. So since you guys have the virtual students, here's the laptop. This is their chat box. So make sure they can see the board, what you're drawing, and monitor to see if they can help you guess the right word. So when you guys are ready, send up one of your representatives. No one can draw in this game, guys. Trust me. I know that no one knows exact vocabulary, that's why we're doing it. Okay, boys. Everyone's gonna get a turn eventually, hopefully, at some point. So send one person up.
Hold on, baby.
Okay. So, okay, let's try to start off a little bit easy, just to get our bearings. So, remember, I'm looking for the Latin word. Okay, both of you come over here. Let's see. Do you both know what that means?
Yes. Hold on.
Which one?
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry, Jason.
This one, guys, you wait.
I misread.
Here.
Do I have to draw?
Yep, you could draw or act out. No talking. What?
Yourself? Myself?
I heard it swear. So remember, guys, to someone will be in charge of the computer so that the virtual students can see and also you're monitoring their chat.
Wait.
Well, at first I thought it said whoever. Jason.
I was like, you're pointing at me.
Okay, so you guys understand how this sort of works? You can draw or you can act out. Okay, boys, which one of you wants to be in charge of the computer so you guys monitor the chat? And well, you all have to probably take a turn because y'all are going to come up here. Somebody take the computer and make sure you guys are monitoring the chat and make sure they can see the board. Okay, next volunteers, come up here to draw.
That's good.
We're starting out a little bit easy.
Go, Tyler. Tyler, you got this?
It's not even gonna be you.
It's going. We're all going to go. Let's get it. It just take the longest time.
Okay, you guys ready? You guys remember what that word means? Yeah? So you can draw it on the board or you can act it out.
Y'all are slow. Oh, you could point it back.
Okay, maybe a little too easy there. Okay, let's try.
The people in the classroom.
Yeah, this is work like that.
Okay, next one. Or no, not that one. Okay, come on up, next volunteers. Make sure again you're monitoring the chat because you guys have virtual students who are on your team. You guys ready? It means you guys can draw or you guys can act.
Got this tomorrow. Stop. I don't know the freaking language.
Latin words.
It's on the silly.
Oh, wait, no.
It's not
Silly.
Oh, one more sentence.
She. I can't. I don't know how to say it, but
Yep, Kaylee or Kaylo.
thank you, David. Thank you so much, David. I was like the sky.
Chapter 5, guys. That was chapter 5. We're on chapter 7 vocab, guys. Okay. Okay. Next volunteers, come on up. So you're either acting or drawing. You guys ready? Yep. So well, it's getting a little bit harder. How do you draw it? Zeno, Kano, K, C's are K's in Latin. Okay, let's see. Ooh, next person.
Oh, great.
Next person up. You guys ready?
That's what I was like.
Ooh, how do you do that one? No talking. You have to act or draw it. No. Nope.
Oh,
You would have. I don't know.
Oh, is it Tyrannus?
Tyrannus. Wow, that did
What?
work. Wow. Fun fact, that actually was a traditional Chinese symbol until
Was
the
it a
Nazis
weird?
took it as their own symbol. Just saying, you'll see it in the ancient Chinese.
Oh, I thought you said
So she put a knot.
Okay, okay. Next people come on up.
Oh, really? What was it?
Oh, yeah, he also said they, how.
Thanks,
You guys are doing this a lot better than the last class, let me tell you. Okay.
Wait, no. What does it mean? I know this.
Oh my gosh, guys. This was chapter 7.
It's a
vocab.
clock, David. It's a clock. It's supposed to be time or something.
Don't look it up. Come on, we're doing this with what we
Come
know.
on, David. You got this.
Don't worry, I'll complete it.
I believe in you, David.
Chapter 7. I'll give you a hint. It's neuter. That's probably not a hint.
It's a clock. I know it's time. What does it mean?
Okay, I'm giving you guys one more hint. A word we get from this is, yep, tempo. That is time. So we get tempo from music. Also temporal, relating to time. Be careful. Careful, guys. Let's see. No.
For real.
Okay, guys, next person, come on up.
Wow, that.
Smaller.
Stop, baby, child. Small? Small. What is? Oh.
Let's see. Oh, Parwoos is small.
Just looked into it. I was like, small.
The virtual students are really helping you guys. Come on.
See, these ones are Latin words. Yeah.
Nope. Okay, guys, this one should be easy, okay? So, this should be an easy one. Not amo.
Amari.
So we have another word that's similar, but in the 7th chapter, it's a noun. So that's the verb, right? I'm looking for a noun.
They got it.
Amor, amorous is love, or it could be a lover. So we get amor from amo.
Looking at it.
I really don't want to be mean. I'll be nice.
We're getting too.
They said it in Spanish.
Okay. Let's hear you guys do with this one.
He's thinking. Thought. It's a thought. It's a... We don't know these words.
It was like in my head, but I didn't know how to say it.
Okay, guys, come on up. So you guys get the arrow right. Okay. If you guys don't know, do you guys need me to give you the definition?
Remind me of it?
Okay.
Jesus.
Patria.
Okay.
Country.
Jesus.
That's bad for marriage.
Okay. Ooh, another fun one. Okay, guys, whoever's up, come on up.
He said maybe. Maybe what's the most good. I gotta ask. Good.
What? Why?
Think about the vocabulary that we have so far.
We could have had sick and I just don't know what it sounds
I don't know.
Angry?
I know, it's a hard one.
Ow.
Terror.
Torrio.
You guys both have
I don't know what to do. Oh, that's wrong. That's
Okay.
Now that's be like October. What happened?
There's not holidays in it.
Halloween.
Oh, I also think
Let's see. Okay, I want to see guys what you guys do for this one. Ready? The most simple one.
No, that's not warm.
When?
You act or draw it out. You can draw it out.
When?
Romana, Romanus, which is an adjective for Rome.
There's no way I can draw that.
What was it?
Honestly, I would have drawn a Roman person. So you guys did pretty good. Let's see. Where did you go? Okay.
Country in Italy.
Let's see.
Country in this. What is it?
Wait, she never said we can do this.
What? You search it for. Oh, fair. Yeah.
That's what I want. It's a gift.
It's, wait, did you say, what did you say? That's the verb. So donum is the gift.
Say it in Spanish.
So
That's a good.
remember, we have amo, amare, which is the verb, and then we have an amor, which is the noun. Dono or do, which means to give. Donum, which is the noun, the gift. And you'll get that, you'll see that throughout Latin. Okay, next one, let's see. Okay, who is up next?
Wait, how? What? No, I can't. Okay.
Bossia.
Are you just now? I was going to say.
Well,
Let's see. Okay, guys, this is the final.
What was you drawing?
What? Okay. What should be the final one? Let's see. Okay. This should be an easy one. So.
Rainbow Six.
No!
It's killing. It's killing.
Yeah.
It's killing. It's fighting war.
Belgium.
That's war, not killing.
Murder?
what is killing?
You just
Necro?
oh, you have an extra letter in there.
Necro.
Oh, you still have an extra letter in there. Yeah, Necare, so Neko, Necare.
Oh no.
Two So did you guys like that game?
See.
Yes?
What happened?
Well, we'll be playing that a lot. You guys pack up your things. You guys are dismissed. You like the game? I like the game too. So we'll be playing that a lot in this class. It's a good review for vocabulary. Have a good day. And remember, if you have any questions, remember to email me. Let's see. Stop recording. Stop recording.